Hi, this is Jim Thompson, and I want to welcome you to our webinar today. And for this next 60 minutes or so, we're going to be talking about growing your practice by getting more referrals from attorneys. Now, a couple of things. We may run into some technical problems. This is kind of the first time I've done a webinar, and hopefully everything will work out for us. And so hopefully no technical problems. Um, we were trying to set it up so that you could actually ask questions and we could answer them at the end. And for one reason or another, we couldn't get that going. So if you have a question or something comes up you want to talk about, send me an email at jet@lawyersmarketingresource.com. And you have my email address from what I sent out. And let me know what your question is, and I will certainly make every attempt to answer it. Now, here's what we're going to learn this afternoon. There's basically three things we're going to talk about. And number one, getting referrals from other lawyers and why it is so much easier and so much better. We're going to talk about what you need to do to get these referrals. And I want you to think of three letters, K, L, and T. Those are basically know, like, and trust. And we're going to talk about those extensively. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is what do you do after you get that first referral if you want more referrals. Now, before I go any further, I do have a confession to make, and I want to share something with you. What you're going to hear from me today basically is not coming from Jim Thompson. The information I'm going to share, I am simply not smart enough to know all this stuff. I've been very fortunate, though, over the past few years to know a number of people who are experts in the field of both just marketing in general and legal marketing, and in how to go about and get more and better referrals. But I want to share something that I think is very important. And I was at a conference about 3 years ago down in Florida, and there were a number of dignitaries on the stage. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them, but there was folks like Bob Berg, Zig Ziglar before he passed away, Brian Tracy, John Maxwell, and a few others. And Les Brown, who is a very well-known motivational speaker, when he started his talk, he said something like this: you know, all of us up on stage here, we all get information from everyone else. Most of us, except for Mr. Ziegler, have not had an original thought. We all share everybody's thoughts and ideas and what they put out. And basically what he said, and this has kind of stuck with me, and this is kind of my feeling, is that we are the caretakers of this information. The information that we get from other folks, we become the caretakers, and we need to share this information. And that is what I'm hopefully doing this afternoon in this webinar. But also, you need to share some of this information if you find it beneficial to some of the other lawyers that you know. You need to do what I'm doing, share it with them, or share this webinar. There'll be a replay of this webinar, and if there's some things that are said here that really make you think, let them know or share this webinar. Now, I wrote a book 2 years ago or so, and basically I talked about lawyers getting referrals from clients, or actually why they don't get referrals and what they can do about it. And I had people who read the book and said, Jim, that's pretty good stuff, but you didn't go far enough, because as an attorney, I get most of my other referrals or my referrals from attorneys. And I thought, you know what? You're exactly right. And what I need to do is do some research and give you the information out there that talks about getting referrals from other attorneys. And you know what I found? There was very little written about how attorneys can get referrals from other attorneys. Oh, there's a little chapter, maybe a couple of paragraphs, 3 or 4 paragraphs in books that talk about how professionals can get referrals from other professionals. But as you'll see in a minute, it really doesn't apply to lawyers as such. But before we go further, I want to share something with you. And we're going to start setting a foundation for referrals. And one of the best ways, I think, and I'm not one for statistics, but I want to share this with you. John Jantsch, who is a very well-known marketing expert, to folks, very well-known marketing expert, wrote a book called The Referral Engine. And the bottom line was, he, in writing this book, surveyed over 5,000, I think it was, small business owners, and wanted to find out where they got most of their business. And so he did this survey, and this is what he found. Almost 64% felt that they got over half of their business by way of referral, by way word of mouth. Okay, so then he goes back and he says to these 64%, if, of this group, he asked the question, what system do you have to get these referrals? And this was amazing. 79, almost 80%, readily admitted they had no system whatsoever to generate referrals, even though they know that well over half of their business comes by way of referrals. And I would think, now this was other small business owners, or to my knowledge weren't any attorneys in there, but I would think if we did a survey of attorneys, we would probably find pretty much the same percentages, the same ratios with attorneys. So what has blown my mind about this is knowing that word of mouth is so powerful. Why do small business owners, and again, I would say attorneys, do so little to take advantage of this? And I think what I said before is, well, this is interesting. Let me do some research, and basically see what attorneys do. So I set about talking to attorneys, and I didn't actually keep count, but I probably figured that I talked to close to 100, maybe a little bit more, of attorneys, and asked them where they got the bulk of their new business. And what do you think they said? Almost every attorney said they got most of their new business from referrals. This is maybe even a little more than that Jantsch found. That most attorneys told me they got most of their new business from referrals, and totally understand that. So then I asked the question, went further. If you got most of your business from referrals, where do those referrals come from? And what do you think they told me? From other attorneys. Basically, they told me that most of their business came from other attorneys. So then I asked what, just like Jantsch did, what they did to get these referrals. And, after some hemming and hawing, and I do this and I do that, and nothing really concrete, no system, nothing, but it went something like this, and then boiled it down. And the best way I could show it to you is this. So you want to refer me. And I want you to take this picture and make a visual image of it. So the next time you are in a position to ask for a referral, you don't want to be like this picture. So make that visual image, take a look at it, and commit it to memory so you'll never do that again. So what are we going to do to change the way you will ask for referrals? But first, we need to talk about something else. And it's important to talk about a referral mindset. And again, please think about this. You may want to even take a 3x5 card and put it somewhere where it shows you referral mindset. But what a referral mindset is simply this. you embrace referrals as the primary way to build your practice. It is a way of thinking. Everything you do will promote getting clients through referrals. And we're going to explore this in a much greater detail. But one of the things that I want you to think about, when I'm in a group and I'm doing a session or I'm talking to folks, attorneys, I'll say, well, then I'm doing a program like this, what is your definition of a referral? And we'll go around and around and around and, spend about 5, 10, 15 minutes and people just, give me the definition of what they think a referral is. And I was in one session one time and I had somebody tell me that they thought this was the best definition they heard of a referral, and I cannot disagree. Gold. A referral is gold. And I want you to think about that in your own situation. You get a referral. Isn't it gold? But here is the crucial element. A referral from an attorney. If you get a referral from another attorney, what is it? It is pure gold. I want that image out there. Think about that. Pure gold. Every referral you get from an attorney is pure gold. So, having said that, on a referral from a client is great. Why is a referral from an attorney so much easier and so much better? Why is that? Well, it's easier because you are unique. And I don't want to say that in a derogatory manner, but you as an attorney are unique from just about every other profession. Think about this. You've got your financial planners out there, and they're pretty much all lumped together. Your insurance salesmen lumped together. And the general public would think that attorneys are all lumped together. But when you dig down and think about it this way, I guess it was about 2 years ago, I saw a magazine article. I don't remember where I saw it, but it talked about, the best lawyers in such and such. And, the best lawyers in this area, this area, this area. And I went through and I counted the specialties and subspecialties of these attorneys, and there were over 50 specialties and subspecialties. So the chances are of your meeting other attorneys, being around other attorneys, you are not going to be in competition with one another. So think about that. There's no competition. You stand up and say you're an attorney, yeah, but you stand up and say you're a personal injury attorney that specializes in medical malpractice cases, and you could be in a room full of personal injury attorneys, and guess what? You're not in competition with the other attorneys, and this goes, pretty much across the board for attorneys in pretty much other areas. Now, attorney contacts. I want you to think about this. And I'm going to use the example of a personal injury attorney again. The personal injury attorney, and again, this is different for different specialties. But again, the personal injury attorney probably in the course of a week has somebody come into his office. Maybe it's a client, maybe it's a new potential personal injury client. But I'm going to use the example of his client comes in, and the client is kind of like not very happy, down in the dumps or whatever. And so the attorney says, well, John, what seems to be the problem today? You don't seem your usual self. He says, well, my sister is, she called me last night and she's talking about getting a divorce. Oh, really? And so you probe a little bit further and you ask the question, well, does your sister have an attorney? Well, no. Well, and you've got two choices now. You can say, gee, that's interesting. Sorry, I can't help you. But, go check out the Yellow Pages or, call the bar associations. Or the attorney can say, and this is what should be said, I got a couple of friends who are really good divorce attorneys. And I would like to refer those or have your sister see one of them. Would that be helpful? And of course, the client goes, wow, yeah, I never thought you'd do that for me. Now, Think about this. You've got a really good client, and in essence, he tells you that story, and you say, sorry, I can't help you, pack sand. Oh, by the way, your sister's on her own. And here's what might happen. Maybe the sister finds another attorney on her own and tells her brother about it. The brother finds out that this attorney also knows some other people who do personal injury, blah, blah, blah. You can see the problem there. You might lose a client because you can't help that person out. So attorneys have, and this probably happens, and again, depending on the type of practice you have, this can happen, maybe once a week, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, maybe once a month. Again, the type of practice, but it happens. And attorneys are in a great position because people are always coming to them with problems that needed to be solved. And who's in a position to solve those problems? The attorney, you. But you don't specialize in the problem they have, so what do? You've got 2 choices again. Either refer it or, tell them to leave, basically. So attorneys have a lot of contacts. Now, an attorney basically knows what you do. And what do I mean by this? Well, we all went to law school, and we know what a PI attorney does. We know what a domestic relations attorney does. We know what a real property attorney, commercial real estate, residential, whatever. We've got a pretty good idea. So we, as trained attorneys, have a really good idea what people do. We may not know, everything, how you do it and all this other stuff, but we know about divorce law. We know about this and real property law. So we know, and we're going to refer you to someone that can handle that. Your client, on the other hand, who may want to refer you, may not even know what you do. Or he may know that you handled his automobile case, but he may not know anything else. So the attorneys know people, and they know other attorneys, and they know what those other attorneys do, basically. Okay? Now, something else you want to consider. Client trust. Think about this. If an attorney refers someone to another attorney, the client is thinking, well, I like my attorney. He's referring me or a friend of mine or whatever to another attorney friend of his, who this attorney who's referring me must really like, know, and trust, right? So that trust is transferred to you, the attorney that gets the referral. And it makes it so much easier to deal with the client because the client trusts you right off the bat. Now, there's another thing that can happen with regard to attorney referrals, and that is referral fees. And I'm not going to go into referral fees because that's a whole subject of a much longer session. And every jurisdiction has different ethic rules and things of that nature. But there can be referral fees paid for referring clients to another attorney. Obviously, the most impressive case of that is where the PI attorney gets a referral, and a year or 2 down the road, you gave that PI attorney a referral, and he calls you up on the phone, and he goes, that case you sent to us 2 years ago? Well, we finally settled, or we went to trial, or whatever, and I'm sending you a nice referral fee. Gee, you may not even remember that, right? You get an envelope from this attorney, and you open the envelope, and there's a check for $50,000. And don't think that doesn't happen, especially with PI situations. So there's that, but I'm just basically touching on that. So here's the question of the day. If you believe referrals from other attorneys are so great, so beneficial, then why don't most attorneys get more referrals? So we're gonna talk about why attorneys don't get more referrals. Actually, we're going to do it in a little bit different way. What I want to do is kind of switch it around and talk about why attorneys who get referrals from other attorneys, what do they do? And here's one of the things they do, and probably one of the most important things. They work at it. They actually get out and work at getting referrals from other attorneys. They don't just, like that picture I showed you, cartoon I showed you, they don't just rely on that, hey, send me a referral. No, they go out and they work at it. They develop relationships with other attorneys and here's a key, that they can send referrals to. If you don't take anything else away from this webinar, take this. Your job, if you want more referrals from attorneys, your job is to give more referrals to attorneys. Give more than you'll ever get. And we're going to talk about that again in a little bit more detail. But attorneys who want referrals, they go out and they work at it. There's no secret to that, other than it takes a lot of hard work, because you're not just going to sit there and say, yep, I've opened my law office, or I'm doing, this type of law practice, and people are just going to come to me. No, attorneys don't even know you're out there. Now, this next thing we're going to talk about is that they know a lot of attorneys. And we're going to spend a few minutes on this. They know a lot of attorneys. They really know them. Okay, now, I've done this before where I've had a group of attorneys, and I'll go, well, we'll put that up on and say, attorneys. And I'll say something like, well, I'm sure you all know attorneys. I'll bet you know a lot. But just write down the 10 attorneys right off the top of bat that you know. So I'll give them a little bit of time, and then I'll go, okay, now here's what I want you to do. It's pretty easy to write down the names of 10 attorneys. How well do you know them? And I get this look, what do you mean? Well, how well do you really know them personally? Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, with these attorneys that you've written down, beside each attorney, I want you to write 3 things. Not what they practiced or anything, and not even where they went to law school. But I want you to say, write who their spouse is, who their children are, what activities do they do outside the law practice? Are they involved in any charitable organizations? Now, you may know where they went to law school. Do you know where they went to college? Again, how many of you can write down 10 attorneys and write down 3 things like that on each attorney? Most attorneys I know cannot do that, because we know a lot of attorneys, but we really don't know attorneys. So the key is how are we going to get to know attorneys? Now, here's the thing. I get this from a lot of attorneys who have just opened a law practice, or maybe they've been with a big law firm, and they know the people in their law firm, but they don't know anybody outside their law firm. So what are they going to do to get to know more attorneys? Well, we're going to talk about some of the things that I think you ought to be doing. And obviously, you're going to go out there and you're going to meet other attorneys. And I'm going to use a word here. And after I use it, I know it's going to shock some of you, but after I use it, I want you to really put it out of your mind. At least the word out of your mind, not the concept. And the word I'm going to use is networking. And I know some of you have cringed because you think networking is going out just like this gentleman here, shaking a hand, saying, hey, how are you? I'm so-and-so, and here's my business card. If you ever need anything, call me, or blah, blah, blah. That type of what we think of networking. You go to the Chamber of Commerce event, and there's 10 insurance salesmen, 10 financial planners, and they got their hand out saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, and glad to meet you. Oh, got to go meet somebody else, that type of thing. Well, I'm not talking about that type of networking at all. Here's what I'm talking about. Okay? I want you to think about where you can go and network with other attorneys. I want you to think outside the box maybe a little bit here, and I want to take you through this. Obviously, I want you to think about your bar associations. Now, I know there's folks I've seen on this webinar from Chicago area. I've got a couple people from New York, a couple people from California, one person from Texas. So again, this depends on your locale, where you are, how big a bar association you may have in your particular area. And I know some of you, like if you're in Chicago, a lot of members of the bar associations, even in some of the suburbs with their bar association. So again, bar associations. And I'm going to assume you have a bar association that, at least has a few members in it anyway. But you go to their general membership meeting, right? You go to their, say, golf tournaments. you go to some of the events that they hold where all the lawyers in the bar association will go, the after hours and this type of thing. I know some bar associations have young professionals group where they meet at a bar and, have hors d'oeuvres and get to meet each other and that type of thing. And that's what I'm talking about, the general meeting. But I want to take this one step further. So bear with me a little bit here. After you start going to the bar association meetings, and by the way, if you are going to other networking groups and they're working for you, I don't want you to stop doing that. That's not what I'm saying. But I want you to really concentrate on the networking groups or the groups where there are lawyers. And of course, and again, this gets back to how big a bar association you have. But let's just assume that there's just a few sections in your bar association. There's a personal injury section. There's a divorce section. There may be a bankruptcy section. There may be a section for commercial real estate, residential real estate. There may be a section for business lawyers, people that do transactional work. So if you have those sections, and I'm going to use the example of a PI attorney again, and you'll see where I'm going with this. So you're a personal injury attorney, and you go to your personal injury meetings, and in some cases with a personal injury type practice, depending if you specialize in a certain area, it may be a great place to go to meet other personal injury lawyers. And a medical malpractice lawyer is there. He meets somebody that does truck accidents and this type of thing. So you get to know each other and you can refer back and forth in the personal injury field. But now I want you to think outside the box. I want you to go to the divorce lawyer section. I want you to go to the immigration section. I want you to go to the real estate section. I want you to go anywhere where there's other clients out there. I call them consumer clients. And I really want you to think about going to sections that have lawyers that deal with transactional work, lawyers that represent small businesses. And I'm going to tell you why in just a minute. But now you're going, well, Jim, I'm not going to go venturing into the divorce lawyer section or any of these other sections you mentioned because, I'm a duck out of water. And they're going to look at me kind of funny and they're going to say, well, Jim, you're a PI lawyer. What are you doing in our divorce section? And here is what you say, and I guarantee you, if you do this, you're going to make a lot of friends, and you will get some referral partners. And here's what you do. You meet an attorney who's, say, in the divorce section, and you say, yeah, hi, I'm Jim, and I'm a personal injury lawyer. And you guys going to look at you like, what are you doing here? You may not say that. It says, let me tell you why I'm here. I specialize in personal injury law, but I'm always getting people that come into my office, and sometimes they're getting a divorce or they want a divorce because of the accident they were involved in, or maybe they got a sister or somebody else. I'm always getting these type of inquiries. Somebody comes into my office and I know they're not having a good day. We talk and we find out that maybe one of their relatives, is getting a divorce. And so I want to meet divorce attorneys. I want to meet attorneys I can refer cases to. And you say that to the lawyer you're talking to, and his eyes get really big, because what are you doing? You are there to help him get business. You're not there looking for business. You are there to help him get business, him or her to get business, obviously. So, and this works in every case. And as I said before, and I'll probably say it again, you want to be the person that's giving business. You want to be out there helping other lawyers to get business. Now, I want to share something with you, and this works for pretty much, as I said, the consumer lawyers, the PI lawyers, the divorce lawyers, in immigration and bankruptcy, criminal lawyers. And here is where I would really like to see you start going to a certain section meeting. And when I'm doing a workshop like this, I'll go around ask people to tell me what they think is the best referral source for them. And this is what I think for consumer lawyers, the best referral group, the overall group for you. And that is lawyers that do transactional practices. And I know from having done this before and having people looked at me very funny, they're going, what are you talking about? I have nothing in common with these people. Think about this. And I'm just going to take the PI lawyer again, and I'm going to narrow it down to one transactional lawyer who does business, and maybe he represents, 10 small business owners. Okay? 10 small business owners this transactional lawyer represents, and each small business owner may have 30 employees, may have 50, may have 2, doesn't matter. Okay, so you take the 10 small businesses times 30 or whatever it is, and that's 300 potential new clients for you. But it's even more because those 300 have friends, relatives, etc. Okay, now these employees are getting in trouble. Their kids getting arrested for a DUI, their neighbors getting a divorce, maybe their sister got in a car accident, all kinds of things, okay? So what do these folks do? Most of them don't know lawyers. So they're most likely going to go to one of the most trusted people who in their lives that they know knows a lawyer, and that is the owner of the company. So the guy comes to the owner of the company and says, Mr. Boss Man, my sister got in a car accident the other day, and she's really banged up pretty bad. I just don't know what to do. And I know you have a company lawyer. Can you help me out? So what is the company lawyer sitting there? He gets a phone call from the owner of the company, right? And the company lawyer says, yes, got a personal injury case. Listen, I know a couple of personal injury lawyers that I can refer this out to. So let's talk about and find out more about it. Okay? You see what that is? Do you see how many potential clients you have out there? I hope you let that sink in for a minute. The next thing I want to talk to you about, just briefly, is one of the phenomenon that I see, and has been going on for a while, but it's really busting at the seams, at least here in Chicago, and I know it is in New York and maybe a few other larger cities, and this is what they call the virtual lawyer. The lawyer that's brand new or has been in practice for a while, their partnership breaks up, or he was with a big firm and the firm let him go, or he just decided, that wasn't for him anymore. So he's thinking about, okay, I'm going to go open my own shop. Well, if anybody's looked around and you're going to open your own shop, you know how expensive that can be. Hiring a secretary, a phone system, all the other stuff. Well, with this virtual law system, they get a package. They get somebody that can answer their phone, that get their mail, maybe have conference room. In some cases, they can actually get an office suite. Now, I know here in Chicago, and then this is a fantastic source for other lawyers. There's a company called Amada, and they've got 4 floors in different office buildings around various areas in around the courthouses, and they have 4 floors, and where they dedicate 2 of these buildings, floors, if you will, strictly to attorneys. And they provide support for attorneys. They provide paralegals. They provide a whole bunch of stuff. But what they really provide is an automatic in with about 400 attorneys that I have that are virtual. Some, as I said, rent space. Some, are just have a phone and this type of thing. But there's 400 attorneys out there. And what Amada does is they have a directory of lawyers. They have mixers where they bring the lawyers together, and you get to meet some of the other lawyers in these offices. And they have a listserv where you can go on and answer questions. What are you doing? You are developing relationships with other lawyers. This is perfect. Okay, now here's something. Is it going to happen overnight? Are you going to meet all of a sudden a bunch of lawyers that you're just going to click with, and they're just going to bring you tons and tons of business? Absolutely not. And there's something you need to be aware of, and it's this know, like, and trust factor. We've talked about the knowing, okay? And obviously we can talk about it in much greater detail. We've talked about when you go out and you got to start liking people, and then you start trusting people. It's kind of like a little, if you will, dating. Like if you're married, you kind of go back and remember how you met your spouse. And if you are out in a dating scene, you know what you're going through. You got to go out and get the people, the folks you want to get to know, so you can date them, and then you got to get to like them. So you'll get to like them by what? Going out on a date. Same thing here. You find some folks in one of these networking groups that I've mentioned, and you click. So what do? You say to that person, John, I really like what you're doing, but here's the thing. I want to know more about what you do, so that when I get people coming to my office that are looking for a divorce lawyer, I got somebody that I feel comfortable with that I can refer. Remember, go back. You're going to refer. You are referring. You're not looking for anything. And, can we go out and maybe have coffee tomorrow or the next day? Wow, sure. And why do I say coffee? Because if you have coffee with someone, it's usually early in the morning, right? And it's before you start your day and before everything is blown up in your office at 7:30. You meet for 45 minutes or an hour for coffee, and you start developing a relationship. Now, that 45 minutes doesn't start that relationship, just like dating. You don't date somebody once and all of a sudden, man, you fall madly in love with them. No, you've got to develop a relationship over a period of time, and over that period of time, you obviously develop trust. So this is what we're talking about. Now, here is the key, or one of the keys. The fortune is in the follow-up. I'm going to talk about follow-up twice here. Once having to do with meeting people. Okay, you are meeting people, and what do? You follow up. You start building that relationship. Attorneys are very familiar with the bar. Both the bar meetings, the bar exam, the bar this, and the local bar down the street, right? So I want you to think in terms of bar, building a relationship. What are you doing? What have we been talking about? Everything you do is building a relationship, okay? And as you progress and you start building these relationships, what are you doing? You're getting referral partners, people that you feel comfortable with, that you can refer cases to, and hopefully they'll refer back to you. Okay, so you're building this network of referral partners. Now, how many referral partners can you have? As many as you possibly can. I know an attorney, a medical malpractice attorney in upstate New York, very successful practice, very successful malpractice attorney, has about 125 referral partners, and his goal this year is to get 50 more. He's got a goal of getting 50 more referral partners. Now, is every referral partner going to refer cases to him? Maybe, maybe not. But if he gets one from one this month, one from another one next month, you see what that does? Think about that. What would that do for your practice if you had a cadre, if you will, of referral partners out there sending you business? Just think about that. Just extrapolate out. How many referral partners do you need? So 1, 2, 20, 30, 40. My thought is get as many as you possibly can. And here's the neat thing. It becomes a win-win situation for everyone. You win because you can refer a case out that you couldn't handle and your client loves you. The attorney that gets the referral wins because he's getting a referral, and you win because that referral or that attorney may refer back to you. The client wins because you're taking care of the client, and the client wins also because it may be a situation where he brings a fellow associate or whatever, and he becomes the hero, if you will, to that person. So it's a win-win-win situation for everyone. Okay, I'm going to change gears just a little bit, and I'm going to assume you've developed this relationship, and you're clipping along, and so you've developed this relationship, and you get that first referral. That first referral comes in. Now, referrals come in a different way. And I want to touch it just really quickly. most referrals these days, somebody sends you an email and says, hey, John, I'm meeting with Bill and he needs this, and here's his phone number and his email, and here I'm connecting both of you, right? And that's the way a lot of it goes these days. The ideal situation would be if the attorney has somebody in his office and he finds out he needs an attorney, he can call you on the phone, and you may not be in, but he can at least connect with your secretary, and you start that building of the relationship right then and there. The person who's being referred, if you happen to be in, may even talk to you or may talk to your secretary about setting up an appointment. Again, you teach your secretary how to do all this, and this is obviously we'll go much more detail on this, but this is just basically just touching the surface now. Okay, now, one more time, follow up. The fortune's in the follow-up. So how do you follow up after you get a referral? Well, of course, it depends on how you get it. And we're just going to assume that, you get an email from an attorney saying, here's John Smith who needs an attorney, and, what can you do for him? This is crucial. You need to contact that referral as soon as possible. No later than 24 hours, and in my opinion, no later than an hour. You get that email in, and right away, you're emailing that person who's referred to you, setting up something. Why do I say this? Well, two reasons. Number one, that that person who's been referred to you may also be looking and continuing to look for another attorney. So you certainly wouldn't want to lose out on that. You don't want the referring attorney to call you up and say, you know what, I tried to get you John Smith, and you never called him back. He's got another attorney. And by the way, from what I understand, he's got a pretty significant personal injury case, maybe worth a couple of $1 million. And you go, oh my God, what did I just do? Okay, think about that. As quickly as possible, get in touch with that person. The other reason is it shows your referral partner that you're on top of things. Your referral source sees that you're getting right back to somebody he refers to you. When we refer someone, we're putting our good name, if you will, out on the line. And the bottom line there is, when we do that, what happens? What happens when we put our name out on the line, and the person you referred, the attorney you referred the person to, drops the ball? It comes back on you. So again, get in touch with that attorney or the referral source as quickly as possible. Now, let the referral source know that you contacted the person that they referred. Now, you can do this, and basically, one of the things that I've talked about before is never, ever, 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 ever send an email thank you. But I'm going to break that rule just a little bit. Okay? You get a referral in from an attorney. It's an email. Now, we're not talking about the phone. That's a little bit different situation, but we're assuming you got an email. What do? You send an email back to the attorney saying, thank you for, this is an email, thank you for the referral, and I am or have contacted John, and if you have contacted him, he's coming in the office tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. Now, this is also very important. Now, you get the referral to come into your office, and let's just hypothetically say you've tried to get in touch with this person that's been referred, and you can't get in touch with them. So what do you need to do? Call the attorney back or send him an email and say, I've tried for a couple of days to get a hold of the person you referred, and who's not returning my email or my calls. And the attorney may say, let me give him a call and find out what's going on. Or, I forgot to tell you, he's on vacation for a week or so. But maybe the attorney calls the person he referred and said, you needed an attorney really bad. What's going on? Well, you may find out he's found another attorney, which could be the worst thing. Or you may find out, I just didn't get around to it. How many times have we not gotten around to doing something? Okay. So the person comes into your office, right? So here's what you need to do. And I'm covering this real quickly because there's a lot more to it. And you need to have a system. Once you start doing getting referrals, you need to have a system so it's followed all the time. But what do? You send a thank you card. Okay? Why do you send a thank you card? Here's the type of card I like to send. Thank you for the referral. Very simple, and it's handwritten. You can have a picture on there. And in the card, you can say, hey, Bill, thanks for the referral. I've met with John, and it looks like we're going to have a good relationship, or whatever you want to say. It's thank you for the referral. Now, if there's a referral fee involved, and again, I'm not going to go into that, but if there's a referral fee involved, obviously there's a lot more to it. But let's just assume there's no referral fee. So you send a card like this, you say thank you very much, and then here's what you do. Maybe you want to send a little gift or something, but here's what I found works out incredibly. And it's to send a lottery ticket. Now, it's too bad the Powerball, left us yesterday, but send a lottery ticket. And in the notes, by the way, I'm enclosing a lottery ticket, and hope you win. And if you win, take me to lunch. Something like that. You know what? You know why this is so successful? You really want to know why it's successful? Nobody does it. How many times have you been thanked for a referral? Oh, it might be somebody calls you on the phone, or they may, send you an email thank you. But nobody sends a handwritten thank you note. And of course, you put in a lottery ticket. Why do you want to do that? Because you want more referrals. And you want more referrals, and you want to be remembered. You want the attorney you're sending the card to keep thinking about you. Hey, here's a guy, sends me a referral. I send him a nice note, and I send a lottery ticket. Nobody ever does that. So you start doing that, you're going to be remembered. And the other thing that kind of interesting, when the attorney gets it, he said, you know what? Maybe I got another referral for him. Now, going back just a little bit, a lot of attorneys will send you referrals that you meet that, are, if you will, a test referral. They'll send you a little case to see how you handle it. And I want this to be etched in your mind. Anytime you get a referral from anyone, think of it as your next $1 million case. Because it just might be. But you're also being tested, and you're being tested from that first referral to the second, to the third, to the fourth, to the fifth. So you can never drop down. You've got to stay on your game, and you got to stay focused so that, your system about how you are going to handle referrals, you're showing it. And how are you showing it? Obviously, by a nice card. Here's something that most attorneys don't do. Follow up with your referral source, even if that referral did not turn into anything. And you can do this without divulging any confidences. So here's what I mean. The referral source or referred person comes into your office, and for one reason or another, you can't help them. You need to let the other attorney know that John came into your office, and at this time you could not help him. And why do you do that? For two reasons. Number one, you let the other attorney know that he sent you a referral and you can't help him. And sometimes you've got to start developing that attorney's mindset as the type of referrals you want. But the other thing is, the attorneys want to know what happened. And I'm not just talking about the referral fee type aspect, but if I refer somebody, I want to kind of know what you did, what happened with that referral. And so if it doesn't turn into anything, you need to let them know. Okay, now, one more thing, giving referrals. Have I said it enough? Give referrals. You must give more referrals than you ever expect to receive. Do not ever think in terms of getting a referral or giving a referral and expecting a referral in return. Okay, now, we've talked a lot about referrals and referral from attorneys, and I've covered this, in 50 minutes or whatever it's been. And obviously, I had to do it very, very quickly. And I can't even go into detail on some of the things I would love to do. So I want to share something with you, and I want to share something that I have. And it's a program that I do. It's not for everyone, and I want you to take a look at it. And if it's something that would benefit you, fine. And if it's not, that's fine also. we have a program starting January 25th, coming right up. And basically what it is a 5-week group program. And the program is guaranteed to get you more referrals from lawyers. I can't guarantee you how many, because that's a whole other area. But I know this. I can guarantee that you will at least get one more referral over that 5-week period, because it's happened before. And we'll talk about the guarantee in much greater detail, obviously. But the program is, like I said, it's 5 weeks. And basically, just quickly tell you, it's limited to 10 attorneys. I can only do 10 attorneys at a time. And the way it's set up is we have an hour and a half group conference call. And it usually happens on Monday morning, usually from 7 to 8:30, depending on the group. Sometimes we'll move it from 7:30 to 9, depending on what the group would like and how. But we're pretty flexible with that. But we have a group conference call once a week. And then during the week, there'll be 2 15-minute calls, coaching sessions from me, where we talk about what you are doing and how you are doing it and why it's working or why it's not working. In other words, a coaching session. So here's what we're going to do. And my logo basically talks about educating. That's part of the program. Action. We will give you around anywhere from 7 to 10 action items to do every week. And I know some of you are sitting out there going, I don't have time to do one action item, less 7 or more. Well, let me tell you, I can guarantee you that you do have the time. And if you you think you don't have the time, we need to talk, because I can show you how you can get time to do things that are going to grow your practice. But they shouldn't take an awful lot of time to do. Some of them, the things you may already be doing, but we're going to get you doing those things. But here is the real key to this whole program, and that is accountability. Here's what happens in this program. But let me back up just a minute. Some of you have been on this. Some of you have probably been taking notes, writing the notes down. And if you're like me, I've gone to workshops and been on webinars and everything, I've taken notes. And what happens after it's over with, I take my notebook, I put it in the bottom of the desk drawer, and it is never to be seen again, because there's no accountability. So what we're talking about, and the thing that really makes this program work, is the accountability factor. And the accountability factor is a crucial aspect of it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is where everything happens. And the neat thing is, you're on the program. Initially, you're accountable to me. The first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, you're accountable to me. But then you start becoming accountable to the other lawyers that are on the program. And this is, again, what really works. Because if you're assigned a couple of action items to do, and you don't get around to doing a couple of them, and you have to come on the call on Monday morning, and we go around and we talk about what you did, what you didn't do, how you did it. And, maybe it's like, no, I didn't get a couple of things done. I just didn't, whatever. Well, nobody on the call really, as long as I've been doing these sessions, really gets on somebody and gets on their case and saying, well, you were supposed to do this and you didn't. And it becomes a help session. And what happens is that one lawyer may say, I've had that same problem with that action item, and I haven't been able to do it either, but I changed it a little bit, and this is what I'm doing, and this is how it works. And then it starts like a group mastermind session. Everybody is helping everybody else out. And that's what I mean by the accountability. Okay, now, I'm sure that there's some folks out there that are saying, well, okay, this is a 5-week program. How much is it going to cost to be on this program? And I'm going to tell you that in just a minute. But I want to share something with you, first of all. And I want you to think about something that most lawyers that I know do not think about. And that is, what is your ROI? What is your return on investment? And every practice is different. But what would one new client in the next 5 weeks do for you? Could it mean an extra $2,000, an extra $1,500, an extra $4,000 in a fee? Maybe it's a personal injury case that brings you a boatload of money. But start thinking about what is the ROI if I do a program like this. Okay. Now I'm going to share with you what the program costs. And the program for the 5 weeks, this is the total cost of the program, there's no add-ons or anything else, is $1,250. I think that breaks down to $250 a week. And, so $1,250 for a 5-week program. Think about what getting one new client, you'd probably pay for it, and you might pay for it over many times. I basically, had thought back, and most attorneys I know charge anywhere from $250 to $350 an hour. And basically that's 1 hour of your billing time per week. Now, here's something I want to do for you. And I've never done this before, and this is totally an experiment for me. And I mentioned that my key thought is accountability. And here's what I want to try. I want to put this out. This is an experiment, but I'm going to do it for those that have been on the webinar and those that basically will listen to the replay. I want to have the first attorney come in at $1,250. If you will bring an accountability partner, I'll cut that in half, which means that you come in for $1,250 and your accountability partner, who could be another lawyer in your firm or another lawyer that you know, will pay half of that, or $625. Now, you can work that any way you want. Obviously, the smart way to do it would be for each of you to pay half, and I think that amounts to, and again, my math might not be quite that good, but I think it's $937.50. So for your 5-week program, if you bring an accountability partner, it's $937.50. Now, that offer will stay open until I get 10 people in the program starting January 25th. And then obviously I'd have to withdraw the offer because I don't have any more room for you, or until I guess Monday at midnight. So that'll give you some time to talk to some of your peers, some other lawyers. You'll have a replay of this webinar. You can share that with them and let them see what we're talking about, and hopefully they'll agree with you that they should come on the program and be your accountability partner. We'll be putting out, and I know that some of you are skeptical about what this program really entails, and I would be, trust me, I'd be the same way. We're going to be putting out some information a little bit later that'll give you in detail what you will do each week in the program, some of the action items you'll be doing, and how it all comes together. And again, some of you may be skeptical of what it's done for other attorneys, and I've got, didn't want to have too many, but there should be, I think there's 5 or 6 testimonials we put up. You may know some of the attorneys, you may not, but these are attorneys that have been on the program, and they have written letting me know what they thought of the program and how it's helped them. So again, I want to put this out. Take a look at the program when you get it. Take a look at what is involved. Take a look at what your ROI is. Take a look at thinking about getting a referral partner. And the bottom line is, if you have any questions, and I know you may, please feel free to send me an email. I will be glad to answer everything, and questions that you may have. But I really want you to think of how a program like this can really benefit you. And I want to thank you for being on the webinar this afternoon. I think we went just a little past 60 minutes, but it's, like I said, it's very difficult to cram a bunch of information in. So I wish you all luck and have a great rest of the day.